A basic set in bodybuilding usually consists of 8 to 12 repetitions. Why this number? Trial and error experience and some independent scientific research has shown that the muscle tends to grow best when subjected to about 70 to 75% of its 1 rep maximum strength, the maximum amount of weight the muscles can lift in that exercise one time. And when you do as many sets as you can with this amount of weight, you end up doing somewhere from 8 to 12 reps. Therefore, as you begin bodybuilding training with the Weider system, pick a weight for any exercise that lets you do at least 8 repetitions, but not so light you can do more than 12. An exercise consists of a group of sets. This too can vary, but generally the Weider system recommends from 3 to 5 sets of any exercise and from 12 to 16 sets for any body part, with a few less for some body parts and certain kinds of training, and a few more for others. In bodybuilding training, you can end up resting for a shorter or longer period of time depending on what kind of set you're doing. For mass training, for example, in tape 7, you rest for several minutes. Using certain intensity techniques in tape 9, you may not rest at all between sets. But for the purposes of getting started with the Weider system workouts, you should rest from 30 to 60 seconds between sets. Or if you're training with a workout partner, do your set, rest while your partner does their set, then jump back in and do your next set.
You usually want to do somewhere between 8 and 12 or 15 repetitions in a set. So it is important to increase the weight because that's putting a different type of pressure that the body has to respond to.
In the early days of the sport, bodybuilders trained like weightlifters, training the whole body 3 times per week. But they soon found out that you can't train the whole body in one workout and still have sufficient intensity for all the body parts. So eventually they began following a system which Joe Weider called the split system of training, in which only part of the body is trained at any given workout and the entire body is trained over a period of days. The split system of training takes several forms.
One of the most popular types of training schedule is 3 days on, 1 day off. This is one example. Day 1, chest, shoulders, triceps, calves, abs. Day 2, back, biceps, forearms, calves, abs. On the 3rd day, thighs, hamstrings, abs. And on day 4, rest. And this is an example of a workout arranged over a 4-day period. Day 1, chest, triceps, abs. Day 2, back, biceps, forearms, calves. Day 3, thighs, hamstrings, abs. And on day 4, shoulders and calves. And on the 5th day, you rest.
Now, of course, you're not a machine, so you want to make sure you get plenty of rest. If you need a day off, don't feel bad about taking that extra day off. Your recovery time is just as important as going in the gym and training hard. Overtraining can be devastating to your workout. It can cause an injury. So it's very important to train hard, but take that extra day of rest if you need it.
Remember that overtraining, pushing your body too hard, increases your chances of injury. Therefore, you can add an extra rest day at any point in your workout program. Or if you're especially tired, try taking 2 days rest at the end of your 3-day routine or your 4-day routine. The point is, the more you're able to rest and recover, the stronger you'll be in your workouts and the better your body will respond.
With the double split training system, you train twice a day instead of once. Training a major body part in the morning and doing detail work or cardiovascular training in the second workout. Using this system, you're actually doing less rather than more, because you're doing much of the work you'd normally do in one training session and dividing it into two.
Here's an example. Day 1, AM, chest, shoulders. PM, triceps, calves, abs. Day 2, AM, back, biceps. PM, forearms, calves, abs. Day 3, AM, thighs, hamstrings. PM, abs. And on the 4th day, rest.
It takes me 4 days to cover the full body. I train chest and biceps on day 1. On day 2, I train legs. And if you didn't notice, I train chest and biceps on day 1, which is part of, upper body. So then on day 2, I'm covering legs. So while I'm training legs, my upper body is getting a day of rest. Day 3, I go to shoulders and triceps, so I'm back to my upper body again. And day 4, I train back. And day 5 is my day off, and then I start over again.
I work with a split system. I split my body over 4 days, so that after my 4th days, I finished my whole body training.
When I started training, I was 16 years of age, so obviously I started on a 3 times a week schedule. I would do 1 exercise per muscle group, probably on a 10-8-6 basis, 10 reps the first, 8 reps the same poundage, and 6 on the principle that my energy was diminishing. And because it wasn't, but that's the way I thought, that my energy was diminishing. So I would do 10, 8, and 6. And as I progressed, then I started to realize that if I wanted to do more work and more overloading, I would have to work on split routines. So I would kind of split the body into 2 parts.
So now, was this training twice a day or just once?
No, this was once a day.
Right.
The only time I trained twice a day was 3 weeks before my first national contest, Mr. Britain. I just finished my business administration degree, and I had 3 weeks to train, and so for 3 weeks I trained morning and night. I trained twice a day.
I'll do a heavy and a light system, like 3 days on, 1 day off, and I'll go heavy on the first cycle, and then I'll go light for the next body part, and vice versa. It goes like that. The 4th day being my off day. I think all bodybuilders in general know that rule, and they use that.
You hear all sorts of theories about how to train for cuts and definition, or train for tone rather than building. Most of these ideas don't really conform to how the body actually works. However, you can get different responses from the body depending on which muscles you're training, how many muscles you're training in one exercise, what kind of exercises you do, what kind of equipment you use, and what kind of intensity techniques you employ. In general, you build mass most effectively by doing 2-joint exercises, exercises that involve the movement of 2 joints rather than 1. Doing exercises that use a lot of muscles rather than working smaller areas in isolation. Training with free weights, barbells, and dumbbells rather than machines or cables. And using the kind of mass-building techniques that are described in detail in Tape 7. Quality training for things like definition, separation between muscles, and the development of the small muscles generally results from doing 1-joint exercises. Training smaller muscles or muscle groups in isolation. Using a variety of free weights, machines, and cables. And using as many of the Weider intensity principles, such as full range of motion, peak contraction, supersetting, and others detailed in Tape 9. And when you combine effective mass training with quality training based on the Weider intensity principles, the result is a complete and balanced bodybuilding physique.